So a very warm welcome to everyone to our second webinar of the series to discuss our 2024 Speech Pathology grad program. Joining me tonight, we have our amazing National Clinical Lead, Alison King, and our wonderful Grace McCauley, who is in our current graduate program, and who will be answering some questions for us in a little bit towards the end of the presentation. Over the course of the webinar, we'll be giving you an insight into the NDIS, what a day might look like, who we are, what our graduate program looks like, and how you can apply, as well as some time to discuss at the end. So if you do have any questions, if you just want to pop them in the chat, we'll go through them after we've finished the presentation. Matteo, if you want to go across to the next one. Thank you. So these are the topics we're going to be covering. Who Better Rehab is, what makes us better, what is the NDIS, how you can make a bigger difference, what we offer our new grads, and how to apply. So this is us in a nutshell. We're particularly proud of the fact that we've been able to help so many people and that so many of our senior leaders are women. We love the fact that we're blazing a trail here. As you may know, globally, the number of women in senior roles is around 30%, and we're double that. But this can only tell part of the story, and Better Rehab was founded because we wanted to make a difference. Rachel had been an OT and a university lecturer and hated the way the services were being provided in the community to people living with disabilities. It seemed to Rachel that the whole healthcare ethos was to work slowly, not give a damn about your clients, and care about the people and go to work just to get paid, rather than truly loving what you were doing. So she found it incredibly frustrating and demoralizing, and there didn't seem to be any organisation that actually truly cared about its clients and its people. She realised she really had to put her money where her mouth is and actually be the change and find and develop that better way. And that's really what Better Rehab is all about, being better. Helping more, making a bigger difference, and to be able to have done that for thousands of participants, ensuring we've got the best support in place for our clinicians to be able to go out and make a difference and develop a culture that makes people want to get up, get going, and have the most amazing time. Wonderful. So here are all of the states that we currently cover. We have around 34 offices across Australia at the moment. We did have a gift that currently isn't working to show you where they all are, but we currently operate across Queensland, New South Wales, Victoria, ACT, South Australia, and WA, with a ranging amount of different numbers of offices in each state. We want to jump across. So these are our values. These are what really drive our business from the ground up. They're very important to us in our day and in every day that we do. So frankly, we give a damn. Working at Better Rehab is a career, not a job. We're committed to providing you with the opportunity to make a difference to those in need. Love what you do. We believe that when our people love what they do, the best outcomes are achieved. We employ people who are genuinely passionate about their profession. We're people. We're proud to be an organisation free from politics and bureaucracy, and generally care about our interactions with one another and our clients. We take pride in treating each client based on their individual needs. We get shit done. Our clients and colleagues rely on us. We don't waste time, and we work hard to help clients achieve their goals, especially the ones they never thought possible. And our most recent and very exciting new value, we value ourselves. This is one that was designed by our clinicians for our clinicians, and we have confidence in our skills, training and experience. We recognise if and when we need support, we care for ourselves in order to care for others. So why work for Better Rehab? We've got a video.
It's been able to say you can to people who have always heard you can't. It's turning later into now. It's effort, it's commitment. It's overcoming challenges. It's creating opportunities. It's passion. It's support. It's togetherness. It's learning. It's growing. It's inspiring. It's questioning. It's leading, it's an input, it's an outcome. It's our promise, It's your reality. Better rehab. Better for you.
Amazing. So we might jump to the next slide, and I'm going to hand over to Alison, who will walk you through the NDIS in a nutshell.
Lovely. Thank you, Sam. Hi, everyone. Really, really pleased to be here tonight and to be able to chat through what we do at Better Rehab. Of course, the majority of what we do at Better Rehab is work under the NDIS. Some of you may have had some experience working with NDIS participants in your placements or something like that. But just to give you kind of a brief rundown, the NDIS is a national scheme. It covers the whole of Australia, and it receives about $22 billion worth of funding per year, with the aim of reaching about 500,000 Australians who have a permanent or significant disability. NDIS participants receive funding to achieve the goals that are related to kind of their everyday living, the things that are going to have a really significant impact on, their day-to-day function and the things that are really important to them. It provides, person-centered, high-quality support, and, does that across a total age range. We're at Better Rehab, we see participants who range from 0 up to 65. It's wonderful to be able to work with such a diverse group of people. Absolutely. In reality, the NDIS is an insurance scheme. It's designed to promote choice and control and give people with a disability peace of mind that they can have that choice and control over the supports that they want and the things that are really important to them. The NDIS states that all Australians should have the peace of mind that if their child or loved one is born with or acquires a permanent or significant disability, that they're going to get the support that they need. It's not designed to be a welfare system. It's designed to be something that providers like Better Rehab are inputting support so that people with a disability can, get the skills and the independence that they need to change their lives over time. Next slide, please, Matteo. So what does that mean for therapists who are working under the NDIS? It means that a lot of the work that we do is community-based. So it means that you're out in people's homes, you're in people's, maybe their schools and the other environments that are really important to them. And it means that you're really involved in their lives because you're being invited into something that's quite personal to them. You're being invited into their spaces, and that can be really impactful for the therapy that you're doing. It also means that we have quite a long-term focus with the participants that we work with. We're looking at that continuity of care. We're looking at making long-term relationships and outcome measures that are significant over, a longer period of time. It means that we work with a complex caseload, and it's a generalist caseload, and it can cover all types of disabilities. It means that you're able to really experience and learn new things, and that you may not have 2 days that are the same in your week. You're seeing different types of clients, you're going different types of places. It means being an advocate. That's a really big part of being an allied health clinician working under the NDIS, that you really have a great role to play in advocating for the clients that you work with and the needs that they have, and ensuring that the NDIS can actually meet those needs for them. And that can be a really empowering thing to do as a therapist. It also means that you actually get quite a lot of autonomy in what you're doing. You're able to be creative and innovative in what you're doing, and coming up with, types of intervention and, the ways to do intervention or the places to do intervention that you may not necessarily have done before. And so that can be a really fun part of the role as well. It means that you're engaging with your client's entire support team. So, you know, you might be working not only with our MDT within Better Rehab, but working with all of the stakeholders that are also invested in your client as well. So it's a really great opportunity to learn from other people in that situation, but also to feel that the work that you're doing is quite powerful because you're actually working kind of within a bigger team that's kind of supporting every aspect of that person's life as well. It means under Better Rehab that there are lots of opportunities for what you'd like to do with your career. I think that's one of the great things generally about being an allied health clinician, that your degree can mean a lot of things and you can do a lot of different things, but also within Better Rehab, you know, we're really invested in having people who want a career and what their goals are long term as a speech pathologist, and whether that's, you know, moving into supporting other speech pathologists, or whether it's honing their skills in a particular kind of area. We're really invested in making sure we know what makes you tick and the things that you want to achieve, and so that we can work together towards that as well. So the kind of people that you'll be helping. So obviously, you know, there are a really large range of diagnoses and conditions that people may have who access the NDIS. Generally, we kind of say our caseload mirrors the statistics that are within the NDIS as a whole. So about 60% of the caseload that we work with are people with a developmental disability, and about 40% of the caseload are people who have an acquired disability. So that might be something like MND or MS, dementia, Huntington's, stroke, things like that. And obviously in terms of developmental disability, we might be looking at things like intellectual disability, ASD, other kind of like syndromes and things like that as well. We also do see clients with sensory disabilities, so say vision or hearing impairments. And we do see quite a lot of clients who also have psychosocial disabilities as well. So perhaps, you know, a mental health diagnosis or something along those lines too. Now, I picked this picture for this slide because it's definitely not the most flattering picture of me, but it's a real picture. So I really wanted to include it because one of the things that I love about community disability is that you can kind of go anywhere. And this was an example. This is one of my beautiful clients, Miranda, who is a lady who is currently, we're going about 17 years post-stroke. So, you know, she's has a very long-term brain injury as a result of that. And she has mild aphasia, but she has severe apraxia of speech still. And she loves hydro. She's really invested in doing hydrotherapy. She goes like 3 times a week. It's something she's seen really significant change for herself doing that in her mobility, but also in her general well-being. And her physiotherapist came to me and she was like, look, we're really having some barriers at the pool because Miranda can't access any of her tech and her AAC stuff, and I need some help giving her instructions and helping her to tell me what's going on. She's like, oh, can you come along? I was like, yeah, no problem, I can come down. She was like, no, like, can you come in the pool? I was like, okay, yep, I can absolutely do that. And it was great. I had such a good time. It was so good because I got to see exactly what was happening in the sessions, and we got to make some really tailored, like, low-tech AAC boards that were laminated and protected that they could stick along the side of the pool. And I just wouldn't have even kind of been able to make something that was quite as tailored for that situation if I hadn't been able to be there and actually see what was happening. And so I just, you know, as I said, not my favorite picture, but it's a great example of what you can actually do day to day in this kind of role. I know, you know, I was speaking to a Speechie the other day who was talking about being out at a cafe and how, you know, they were working on something in particular. And I've got Speechies who go to the beach and Speechies who go to parks. And it's a really, really nice opportunity to think about the places that are really important to your participant and how you can actually be there and provide that immediate support to achieve something in that environment. And so I think like this is a list, but it's certainly not a be all and end all list of the possible places that you might be involved in. But of course, we still do have our clinic spaces as well. All of our offices offer clinic space because sometimes that is also the best option for a participant as well. So onto our graduate program and a little bit about that. There's some more information on the next slide. So Mateo, I'll let you go ahead to that and we can talk through some of the things on that. Amazing, thank you. So some of the highlights of what our grad program offers. Obviously, it's ongoing employment. You're not employed purely for your graduate period or for this program specifically. Our positions are ongoing positions, and after you've completed the grad program, you'll continue with the rest of your journey at Better Rehab as well. We obviously offer a gradual ramp up of your caseload. Definitely not looking to plot people straight into a full caseload the minute they started. We really want to take the time to actually have you consolidate the things that you're learning and to be able to have some downtime to be supported to learn more about the NDIS and more about this kind of specific clinical areas that you might be working in. All up, the graduate program itself is about 26 weeks long, and there is lots of clinical supervision that goes into that. As a graduate clinician in Better Rehab, you are essentially entitled to around, over a 4-week period, around 6 hours worth of clinical support with your supervisor. And that is the regular amount of supervision that you are given. The graduate program sits on top of that. So we are really, really invested in giving you as much support as you need to feel confident in that first year. You with the MDT, I feel like I was really lucky in my very first role as a speech pathologist. I lucked out into an MDT and I've never looked back because I just couldn't imagine being a sole speechy by myself. I love being around the OTs, the physios, the PBS team. They're so knowledgeable and just really great to get a different perspective on what's happening, or to really be able to target something together that you wouldn't actually be able to achieve by yourself. So that's a very exciting part of it. All of our grads, we give them a dedicated buddy in their office to make sure that they have someone else who, you know that you can just turn to and immediately ask a question if you need support. The rest of the beautiful team around you in the office, we have some really, really wonderful teams in Queensland, and engaging with everyone in the office is an amazing part of that. Lots of different learning opportunities. As I said, there's going to be individualized learning opportunities through your own supervision with your supervisor, and then also the graduate program learning opportunities. Some of those are going to be maybe more hands-on experience, and some of them are absolutely more like content driven, so that we can really give you guys as much access to the information that you might need to upskill about the NDIS and other areas of practice as well. We do lots of team bonding. I think that we'll talk a little bit more about some of those things later on. We really want to give you guys time for reflection and learning as well. I think that that's a really crucial part of a graduate program, is that you can't just be running full pace the whole time. You need to be given time and space to also consolidate what you're learning and to actually be able to reflect on where you're going and how things are working as well. In terms of caseload and travel, we try and work really hard so that your caseload is situated based on your home office and also where you live, so that we can keep your travel to a minimum and make sure that we're being really efficient with that as well. And finally, as I spoke about before, we offer a really diverse caseload. So, the opportunity to practice, both sides of the pediatric and adult coin that you've probably been doing in uni, be able to work with acquired disabilities and developmental disabilities, and really get a mix of things as well. So first 6 months, what are the kind of things that we focus on? Obviously, a really big part of it is how do you work in the NDIS as a speech pathologist? We also, look at, well, how does that look in the community? What does assessment and intervention look like when you're actually out in the community? And, it's not the same kind of experience as being set up in a clinic. In terms of clinical skills, AAC and dysphagia are probably two of the areas that we provide the most speech pathology clinical upskilling on in the first 6 months, because they're a really big part of what we do in the community. And we also know that AAC particularly isn't necessarily something that a lot of people get experience with in their placements, nor is it something that's covered in depth in speech pathology degrees. So we're really keen to provide a lot of experience in that space as well. And dysphagia, the same thing. Obviously, community dysphagia can be a little bit of a different experience to the hospital world. And so we're really well versed in that space too. We're really focused on making sure that people understand how to be a functional therapist and, make an impact on someone's day-to-day life and the things that are important to them as a person. And we're always making sure that your supervisor is really across what's in your caseload and the clinical skills that might be specific to some of the things that are coming up in your caseload, and making sure that we can prioritize those as areas of support for you. So I'm going to bring Grace on. Grace is one of our very lovely speech pathologists who works in our Springwood office. Grace started as a grad with us at the start of the year. And she is a delight. She is an extremely competent, hardworking speech pathologist. And I'm really excited to kind of hear her thoughts about her experience as well.
Alison, I feel very talked up right now.
Yeah. So, my lovely Grace, tell me about your experience when you were kind of applying for your first job, thinking about grad programs. It's funny because that's kind of how you and I first connected, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So I probably went a little bit of a alternate version to getting into Better Rehab, because I sort of threw myself into the world of going to disability expos and things like that. So I had run into Alison before, and if you're all still studying, I would highly recommend see if there's any local expos around, see what's available, because that's going to inform your choices a little bit more as well. But yeah, that's how I knew a bit about Better Rehab. I'd seen the way that they were interacting with the community already and just got the most amazing positive vibes. So they were already on my radar, which was awesome. And then I met Alison, and she was very, very lovely, gave me a bit more information about the new grad program. So a bit of the details that we just heard, and it was ticking all of my boxes, because I was really looking for quality supervision. I was looking for the opportunity to learn basically anything I could get my hands on, and that is definitely something that I've been experiencing. I've been learning a lot, and there's so much information that's provided to you from the Better Rehab team. There is never a day that I haven't learned something new, or I haven't had a question where someone could immediately direct me to where I could find the answer to. And it's been such an amazing experience from the very beginning, interacting even with Sam McKenzie, our HR guru, who sort of stepped me through all the process of applying. There were just green flags all over the place, and that's not something you find very easily. I know it sounds like I'm biased, but I had interacted with other employers, and Better Rehab just ticked all my boxes.
So tell us about that, Grace, because obviously we know there are lots of grad programs out there, and it's really hard for us to distinguish ourselves and to say genuinely we have something different here, and we really want people to know that. So was there something that kind of pushed you over the edge, or really stood out?
Yeah, I definitely think so. I think the fact that everyone that I spoke to was so willing to answer my questions. There was no gatekeeping. Every answer I got from my questions was very open and very honest. And even in the very beginning, you guys were all really open to feedback as well. Like I wasn't even an employee yet, and you were like, oh, tell us how we can improve. Like that to me is just so amazing, because so many employers that I had spoken to would sort of half answer my questions, or would say, oh, sure, no worries, you can look at doing that once you've had a year of experience, for example. Whereas I think with Better Rehab, you guys are so much about empowering the new grads. Like, yes, we're brand new to the industry, but we all have different backgrounds. We all have like lives that we lived before we studied speech pathology, and we all have something different to contribute. So I think the fact that that was acknowledged was a major turning factor for me.
Yeah, no, I love that. I think that's really spot on, because, you know, yes, you're grads, but you're qualified speech pathologists, and you are very experienced people, and so, you know, you do have a lot to offer. And I think, like, I imagine, you know, I remember my days as a grad, like, it's daunting coming into the industry and feeling like you're way back down, you know, bottom of the rung again. And so I'm personally really passionate about making sure that all of our new starters, and our grads in particular, feel that no, like, you've got it, it's okay, like we can support you to do this. Tell us about your experience. How's the grad program been? Were there highlights? What did you think?
I remember being so nervous on my first day, and I literally walked into a room full of other new graduates, and I think just from that day dot, knowing that I was never going to be in it alone was the most amazing feeling. Because even just, you know, we have a new grad chat, so we can all jump in and chat to each other, keep each other updated. I have my amazing multidisciplinary team, so I can always ask questions. And not only that, but my supervisor is incredible with just being available when I need her. If I have a question that she doesn't know the answer to, she's more than willing to say, hey, I don't know, why don't you ask this person? I know they have that information. So it is a really, I'm trying to find a word that doesn't sound cliche, but it is really interconnected. You know, there is no level of hierarchy that makes you feel like, oh, I can't approach this person. And I just think that's invaluable in the new grad experience, because it is nerve-wracking being new. Like, we have all this information that we're taught, but real life as a speech pathologist is a totally different kettle of fish. And having the support to know that there is no silly question, or someone else might have a different idea of how to approach it, and that's totally fine as well. It's just that collaboration is so important.
I love that. So obviously you're 7 months deep in the NDIS now.
Time flies.
Time flies, absolutely right. What advice do you think you have for grads who are considering working in the NDIS? You know, like, NDIS and being in the community it's a complex caseload, and it can be a really challenging space to work in sometimes. So
yeah,
tell us your thoughts on that.
Well, I think one of the main things to consider when working in the NDIS is that you're going to be experiencing people's real lives. You're going to be right in the thick of it. Sometimes you're going into people's homes. Sometimes you're going to hydro. Like, I personally have been to the shopping centre many times with my participants, and it is a lot more personal. And I think that's possibly something that we have to prepare for as well, because uni is quite different, placement is quite different. There's always that one level of separation, which, I mean, you still have that professional distance between you and your participant, but you are going to be right in the thick of it in their life, knowing that you're going to be making a real everyday difference to these people. So I think that is something you probably need to meditate on a little bit, which, I think, again, it sounds really corny, but I came out of university having lots of hospital placement experience and having daycare experience, and community is totally different to that. Yeah. And I am very happy to say that 7 months in, I am so much more capable than I ever thought that I would be at this point. Oh, thank you. Yeah, just presentations I had not expected coming out of university at all. And you know what? I can roll with it. And it's amazing to know that I have that ability to be flexible. And that is one of the most amazing feelings. Not even a full year out of university, and I'm dealing with someone with like multiple diagnoses, and I am handling it. Like, that's pretty cool. And like,
I'm
I
really
guarantee
glad
you,
this is being recorded, because I'm gonna actually like make Grace like watch this. Any other time that she's like doubting herself, I'll be like, just go back and watch this part. You're amazing. You got it. Totally fine.
yeah, I mean, look, I'll be completely transparent. You will definitely have new grad days where you're like, why are they paying me to be a speech pathologist? But that's just par of the course. You know, I'm sure like it's the same feeling as when you come out of an exam and you're like, I don't know if I answered anything right. Then you get your marks back, you're like, oh, it was fine.
It's fine. It's fine. So, I mean, you spoke a little bit about, you know, like your day-to-day being quite like different sometimes.
Yeah.
Can you give us a quick run through about like what a day might actually look like for you? Do you tend to go to the office? Do you start at home and go out? What do you like to do?
Honestly, my caseload is quite interesting because I'm based in like the Logan Springwood area, so every day is very different. I have some days where I might be out of the office all day, back-to-back participants, but I've chosen to do it that way, so I only have myself to blame for that. And then I have some days where I might, you know what, I don't have anyone to see until midday, so I'm going to sit at home, I'm going to finish this report off, know that's done, and then I can go straight to my appointments and have a completely clear head. Yeah. So
And
that's one thing that I love.
Yeah, and one of the things I love about like a lot of our teams, and particularly the Springwood office, is that you guys do tend to like come back into the office around kind of lunchtime, and like there's always people in the kitchen at Springwood having lunch. You know, there's
all the time.
It's always busy, and you know, I think that it's, you know, you talked about like that level of flexibility, like if you know that you have something that you really want to put your mind to and you want to work in your own space to do that, you can do that and then go out and see your participant and then come back into the office. There's a lot of flexibility, I think, around how people get to run what they do.
Absolutely. And it's so inclusive in the office as well. Like, in case you hadn't picked up on my vibe, I have massive ADHD. So everyone's really supportive of the fact that, you know, I do things a little bit differently, but the work gets done. And that's the best thing, is that you're supported to get the work done in the way that best suits you as well.
Yeah, I love that. And obviously really important for you is that at the end of the day, you have time to go and pick your dog up from doggy daycare, because I know that that's like pretty much on your list every day.
Yeah, she's a priority. I'm not going to lie.
Grace, thank you so much for being on here and being willing to come and share. It's been really appreciated.
Anytime.
Amazing. Well, Matteo will skip ahead. Thank you. Go to the next one, please. Just go one more, Matteo. Thank you. So we spoke a little bit before about team bonding. Look, it's no secret, Better Rehab loves any excuse to celebrate, do something fun. Every office has their own way of doing that, and it's fun that it's natural. People are, you know, every office develops things that they like to do, and you know, it's really nice to be able to be a part of like celebrations and things that actually feel really genuine to the people that you work with every day. We do big Christmas parties. Halloween is a very big thing for us. Our director Rach is in love with Halloween. We have a competition every year. You know, we do a mid-year party, and there's always something going on, and it's really fun to be a part of. We might quickly chat through some other things. Grace is saying we all bake in my office. Yeah, her office is big on baking, which is just outstanding as a visitor. Matteo, we'll go to the next one, please. So just quickly going to run through some of the other things that we offer at Better Rehab. So learning and development is a really big part of everything that we do here, and that goes for if you are a new grad clinician, you know, all the way up to our executive team. You know, everyone is learning focused, and you know, everyone is always wanting to, you know, have goals and things they're working on. We have our own knowledge hub, which has a catalogue of PD and other great things available on it. We run special interest groups. We give you study leave and PD allowance. And as I said before, we provide a lot of one-to-one supervision, including that hands-on shadowing as well. As Grace spoke about a little bit, we love that we can offer a lot of flexibility. So, you know, we're really clear about what the targets are that we have for our staff, and we're really outcomes focused rather than time focused. So your hours are flexible. We also offer things like passionate leave. So, you know, if there's something that you're really passionate about, say, for example, there's a lot of people right now who are very keen to get back out and travel for big chunks of time, we'll happily support that. You know, we're very happy to give people leave to go and pursue those things and then come back. You know, we're really keen to be supportive of the things that are not only important to you as a speech pathologist, but as a person as well. We are all over the country, and we're very happy to support things like interstate relocation. And we're also really happy to say that because of the size that we are, we have some really great industry connections. You know, so for example, in the speech pathology space, we work really closely with some of the big tech suppliers like Control Bionics and Liberator and Link AT. We have long-term loan agreements. We have training agreements. We are really lucky with the relationships that we have there as well. We're really invested in well-being. We of course have an EAP, which is an employee assistance program. Obviously, you know, in terms of supervision, training and development, we're also really invested in making sure that that's part of your journey as well. Every office has snacks and breakfast and things like that available as well. And we also use wellbeing days. So essentially that's where we allow people to proactively use their personal leave to say, you know what, I need a refresh. I'm actually going to plan to have a sick leave day essentially to take care of my own mental health and to have some downtime as well. And that's really important to us too. In terms of other benefits and things that we have, you know, we have our Better Rewards system, which is essentially a rewards program for people who exceed their targets. We also offer novated leasing, paid parental leave. We provide all of your insurance, and we also provide vehicle allowances as well. And now I'm going to hand back to the lovely Sam, who will very quickly run you through what might be next.
Thanks, Alison and Grace. That was really great. It's always really nice to hear how people are enjoying the program so far. So wonderful. What's next? So our applications are open all across the country at the moment. They have been open for a little while, but we've still got plenty of roles left. If you'd like to apply, you can email your cover letter and CV across to our My Future team, which is our talent team, and we'll get back to you as soon as possible to arrange a call. We'll go through the locations we still have left. We'll run you through a bit of a phone screen and just get some more information and get to know you a bit better. And then we'll book you in with an interview with one of our two of our team. And then from there, if you're successful, we'll go to references, you'll get your offer, and then you can attend the exciting team events we have lined up in the interim between now and the start date of the 29th of January, not August, it's August now. We have quite a number of things organised, including some really exciting in-services that we're going to be putting on for our grads as well as the wider allied health community. So definitely keep in touch with us between now and then. And I think, Matteo, if you jump to the next one, if anyone wants to take down, this is our My Future email address. We will also be sending out the recording in the next day or so, which will have all of our contact details on there if you'd like to reach out as well. Cool. So, questions. Does anyone have anything that they'd like to know in particular, or any question for Grace or Alison? No, I have a couple that I'm going to just throw out there to get things started. So this one's for both of you, Alison and Grace. What would you say your favourite participant interaction's been so far?
I think I've already done mine. I feel like I've done
What was your favourite?
my lovely Miranda.
Oh, that's tricky. I am having a lot of success with one particular participant right now, so I guess I'll go with her. So I have a beautiful little girl. She's 8. She's got Down syndrome, and she had been previously known to display what we call behaviors of concern. But since she started services with us, she's been absolutely angelic. Like, I'm not even exaggerating. She's been really calm, really beautiful. We're working on some low-tech AAC, a little bit of language development, and she is absolutely soaring. She is doing so well. So I think she's probably my favorite, which is hilarious because 6 months ago, I would have told you that I only deal with adults. And here I am loving the 8-year-olds. It's crazy.
Wonderful. I guess another one for you, Grace, as well. How have you found the supervision structure and I guess like the additional in-services and special interest groups that we're running for the grads this year so far?
So honestly, I find them really helpful, especially because with the special interest groups, I have a very broad caseload. So I'll often have a case where I'll be thinking, I wish I had more information about that. And then I can go and look at the schedule, see what's upcoming. And more often than not, I know that it will be answered in that session. And I love the fact that with my supervision, I can have shadows. So if I have a particularly tricky client, or even if I've got an initial and I'm like, hey, look, can you just come and be a second eye for me? My supervisor will come with me to that session and actually help me sort of guide me in the right direction if I need it, or otherwise just be there being my cheerleader, being like, you know what, you're making all the right decisions. And that's a really lovely thing.
I love that. And what about the ramp up period? I know, there are a lot of different grad programs out there and every company does things differently. I think we've personally got a really good one. I am a little bit biased, but how did you find that initial ramp up? We obviously don't want to just chuck people in the deep end and hope for the best. So do you want to talk us through that a little bit?
Honestly, I was incredibly grateful for it. I did have colleagues who went through the same university as me who were going into other roles where there wasn't as much of a ramp up period. So I think as well in that context, I was very grateful for the time that I had. It also allowed me a little bit more time to, yes, get to know my participants and get to know them really well, but understand a bit more about the systems in which I would be helping them, because the NDIS can be a bit of a tricky space. But with the time that you're allowed and with the other clinicians around you, you have that scaffolding to make sure that you're not going to fall down halfway through. And it's just a nice way to build up your confidence and build up your skills.
Amazing. Well, I think that's all from my end. We haven't had any other questions come in yet, which is absolutely fine. As I mentioned before, we will be sending out the recording to everyone that's registered. So you'll be able to go back, and if you do have any further questions, reach out to the rest of the talent team at My Future. Alison and Grace, thank you so much for today. It was really lovely to hear a bit more about the Speechie team and the grad program. And everyone, enjoy the rest of your evening.
Amazing.
Good luck with the rest of your studies.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, guys.